We're going to talk Browns trade rumors in just a moment, but just after I finish filming, or actually at the end of the video, you'll see I remembered and I forgot to mention earlier on that our live show, which is every Thursday, has been moved up a day for this week only. 4 o'clock Eastern. If you've never tuned in before, guaranteed to have a good time. I'm out of town Thursday, so we had to shift it up a day. So join us tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern, for a live Cleveland Browns report. And now, let's jump into some Browns trade rumors. What's going on, Browns fans? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with 3 possible trades that have been rumored, discussed, mentioned in NFL league circles this offseason that include your Cleveland Browns. I wanted to bring them to your attention and kind of go trade by trade and break it all down for you. So let's start with this name right here. Houston Texans wide receiver Brandin Cooks. There have been a lot of trade buzz going back to the trade deadline during the season. He was looking for a trade. Texans didn't make it happen. The Texans wide receiver, Brandin Cooks, turns 30 this offseason, so he's not a spring chicken. I know there has been some discussion of a DeAndre Hopkins trade, which we're not going to get to on today's show, but DeAndre Hopkins, for reference, is 31, so I think we always think Cooks is like way younger or something. Not that much younger for what it's worth. Now, I do believe the Browns are going to make an effort to pair Deshaun Watson with a receiver he has some familiarity with. And Cooks fills the current need of a speedy, stretch the field, smaller build, slot wide receiver that is sorely missed on this depth chart right now. Now, the last 4 seasons for Brandin Cooks looks like this. This season was not good. Now, Davis Mills and Kyle Allen, both not good. So just 699 yards and 3 touchdowns. But a year ago and the season before that, back-to-back 1,000-yard season, 12 touchdowns over those 2 years. He also has a connection and some familiarity with Deshaun Watson. Like I mentioned, they overlapped in Houston in 2020, and he went off for 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. So there is clearly some sort of connection there that could be moved over to Cleveland. I do wonder if Andrew Berry might get a bit aggressive for a trade because he feels the pressure might be coming soon. If the Browns and Deshaun Watson are not good in 2023, right? Let's say it's like a 6 or 7 or 8 win season, something like that. I really can't imagine any fewer wins than that. Well, all of a sudden, who's going to be getting pressure? Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. So maybe AB goes, you know what? I wouldn't have done this trade if I didn't feel that the pressure could be coming after a potential 3rd straight losing season. But because of that, I might have to go out and get a known commodity for Deshaun Watson, even if it costs me a draft pick, even if it's for an expensive player, even if it costs me, giving up a draft pick like I mentioned. I could see Andrew Berry going, we got to make a deal happen because I need Deshaun Watson to play very, very well this year or my ass is on the line. Now, when it comes to trading for Brandin Cooks, there's a couple of finances we always have to work through. If Cooks is traded before June 1st, his base salary, by the way, is $18 million. That's what the Browns would owe him. For reference, Amari Cooper's getting paid a little over $20 million, so he's not that much cheaper. That's 2 very expensive wide receivers on your roster. The dead cap hit for Houston is $16 million. I know that's a medium-sized number. The Texans are rebuilding. They don't care. They'll eat $16 million. If it means them getting a day 2 draft pick, they don't care about eating $16 million. The cap savings is $10 million, so it's not too shabby for Houston. Now, if they orchestrate a trade after June 1st, okay, post-June 1 trade looks like this. Still $18 million base salary. Now, the dead cap hit gets split over 2 seasons, so $8.1 million, and the cap savings jumps up to $18.3 million. Now, there was an interesting article from Mary Kay that I thought you guys should see. So, here's what she wrote up in a recent article of hers about Brandin Cooks. If Watson likes him and wants the Browns to sign him, that will weigh heavily in their decision. But if the Browns decide to seriously explore trades, they might want to go a little younger and possibly aim for a player like the Jets' 2021 second-round pick Elijah Moore, who asked to be traded before the deadline last season and ended up with only 30 receptions for 446 yards and 1 touchdown. So a little bit of foreshadowing right there of the next player we'll talk about on the show. But when it comes to Brandin Cooks, let me know. Would you do Brandin Cooks for a third? Right? They don't have a first-round pick, so then that third-rounder kind of feels like a second-rounder. Let me know in the comment section, would you do this trade? Trade or pass? Me personally, I'm a bit torn because all of us couch GMs hate giving up draft picks, but let's look at some of Andrew Berry's third and fourth round picks. They're not all that great, to be honest with you, so you might use that third rounder and draft a receiver. That was done with Anthony Schwartz, so goes to show draft picks sometimes can be a bit overvalued. Moving on to the next player here, Elijah Moore, the New York Jets wide receiver, who, like Mary Kay pointed out, former second-round pick that's been grumpy in New York, to say the least here. Now, in his career, Elijah Moore, through 2 seasons, has posted 984 yards and 6 touchdowns. A lot of that volume came in his first season with the Jets. Last year, with Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson, he was sort of phased out of the offense a little bit here. When it comes to trading for Elijah Moore, if a Cooks or a DeAndre Hopkins trade does not happen, or it's just too much for Andrew Berry, right? If the Cardinals demand a first rounder, and the Browns can't offer that, and the Texans want a second rounder, which they would never get. But the point being here, if the trade package or trade compensation is just too much for AB to give up, Elijah Moore might be sitting in the grass going, hey, I'm not too bad, and I'm not as nearly expensive as those guys are. Plus, you're going to get him on his rookie contract, which is pennies compared to the $18 million you'll have to pay for Brandin Cooks. So for that reason, I'm more inclined to lean the Elijah Moore trade route. One, I liked him a lot coming out of Ole Miss. I remember when A.J. Brown said, this is going to be your offensive rookie of the year. And I just believe that the Jets offense with Zach Wilson has probably not done him many favors. So the fact that I think you could get him for probably a 6, maybe a 5th, maybe a 6 is not enough, but for a second rounder, that's like in that Denzel Mims territory of basically was a non-factor and didn't play much, a healthy scratch at times last year, might not take all that much to get him on your roster. Now, if a trade does go down, we're going to be keeping you guys informed and entertained here at the channel. So if you have not already, don't only just subscribe, turn your notifications on, join the Noti gang, be a part of those who are early and often in the comments section. Plus, if a trade happens, like I said, we'll be going live here on the channel, so you won't want to miss that live show breaking down the trade, and you won't when you've got your notifications on. Moving on to our third and final trade rumor here, and that is Greg Newsome, the Cleveland Browns' own cornerback here. Now, the Browns have a decent problem on their hands here. They have too many good corners, which is not a bad problem to have, right? Cleveland may prefer holding on to their surplus of cornerbacks and going, yeah, we could get something for Greg Newsome, but at the same time, mostly when Denzel Ward gets hurt, well, Greg Newsome is sitting in the wings. Now, Newsome was not a very good interior corner, a very good slot nickel corner last year. I think we can all agree on that. But I think that Newsome could maybe be a trade piece this offseason if the Browns decide we do need to get some draft assets back. We don't have a first rounder. And Greg Newsome, in my opinion, could be the odd man out, right? He could be the guy that ultimately does get moved in a trade. So with that, let's talk about trading the Cleveland Browns' former first round pick, Greg Newsome, and the possibility of getting him a new location and instead getting a draft pick back for him. Now, Greg Newsome's stats in 2022 were not good. 42 tackles, 6 pass breakups, 0 interceptions, 0 forced fumbles. And we're going to talk more about his grades and whatnot in just a second. But I know that we've got an awesome sponsor today over at BetUS. I'm really excited to share with you all. So let's break down today's show sponsor, BetUS. When you go to chatsports.com/bet and you use promo code Browns125, that's going to hook you up with a 125% deposit bonus. in layman's terms, let's say you put 100 bones in. They'll give you 125 just for depositing that. So 225 to play with. I'm riding with the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Nope. I can't believe I said that. I'm going with the Chiefs. Why did my brain just say Eagles? I'm riding with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but maybe I have to go Eagles now because my subconscious said to do Eagles. So I've got a pretzel in my brain, Ricky Bobby. Whatever you're picking, ride with me, fade me over at chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125. Now in 2022, Pro Football Focus graded Greg Newsome as the 47th best cornerback in football, which is, top third, right? In that echelon, top half. Overall grade of 66. It's not great. It's not bad, though, right? It's not like he can't be on the field anymore bad. It's a complete bust of a pick. Is it what we would expect for a first-rounder going into year 2? Not really. I kind of liked his rookie year more than his sophomore season, but a lot of that can be credited to moving him to the slot, which is probably not what they envisioned when they picked him out of Northwestern. Now, this has been a trade that's been floated around. We've talked about it before on the show. And the comment section continues to bring it up. So I kind of want to, I wouldn't say put it to bed once and for all, because the offseason is very good for trades, never really going away here. But Jeudy coming over from Denver, along with a 5th-round pick for Greg Newsome and a 3rd. Judy's going to get more in a trade than Greg Newsome would. So I think you've got to kick in a 3rd, and maybe you'll get a 5th back. I'm not even sure if those picks really equal out to this trade here. Now, when it comes to Newsome for Jeudy, I won't say I put this to bed once and for all because the offseason is unpredictable. But my issue with this trade idea that multiple people have suggested is, why does Denver do it? Denver's not a cornerback away from doing anything right now, right? They've got Patrick Surtain. I don't think they're too discontent at that position. Meanwhile, they want to move on from Jeudy, who's kind of finally starting to look like that first-round pick of theirs, just to get a cornerback who struggled his sophomore season. Someone explain to me why the Broncos are interested in this trade whatsoever if they didn't even want to trade Jeudy for a second-rounder to the Packers before the trade deadline back in October and November. So for that reason, I think Denver says, we're out. Now, we went through 3 trades today, and I want to know, which trade did you like the most? Was it the first trade we looked at? Brandin Cooks for a 3rd. I like the second one the most. Elijah Moore for a 6th. Doesn't cost you that much. And I think Elijah Moore has a lot of potential, and he's also a lot younger than Brandin Cooks. However, Cooks in AB's eyes is a proven commodity and a known thing with Deshaun Watson. He might not have time to take a gamble and hope that Elijah Moore works out. And then finally, Greg Newsome for Jeudy. That one's definitely tempting. Don't get me wrong. I just think there's no way Denver accepts that trade. I don't see what they gain from it by getting a 3rd-rounder and Greg Newsome and giving up a big chip in their offense that's finally starting to live up to this potential. I appreciate everyone for making us a part of your day. If you haven't already, hit me up on Twitter at Matthew Petey. Always talking Brownies, talking shop, talking NFL. So hit me up over there. We're going to sign off and see you guys tomorrow. Should have mentioned this earlier in the show. Shame on me. Live show got moved up a day. So it is Wednesday tomorrow, not Thursday. I'm out of town Thursday. So for all the OGs, you know who you are. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Wednesday, for our live show.